Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of NEC on the Run. Today we're talking men's basketball with Ron Ratner, or as many of you know him on Twitter, NEC Hoops Ron. Ron, let's get right into it. Give me your weekend takeaways.
Thanks, Kyle. My takeaways this week all revolve around the west wing, so to speak, of the NEC. Robert Morris, St. Francis, and the Mount. Robert Morris perched atop the NEC, only undefeated team at 4-0. What I'm noticing from them, they only returned 2 players from last season, but they're very deep, 10 deep every game, and that's playing without Malik Petway, who leads the Colonials in rebounding. Andy Toole seems to have a different newcomer step up each week. A couple weeks ago, it was Charles Bain. Last week, Leandre Washington. They got some good minutes out of Chris Coleman. Robert Morris just throws out waves at you, and it served them well over the first 2 weeks of the season. My takeaway on St. Francis is they can really put that ball in the hoop. St. Francis has scored at least 84 points in 6 of the last 7 games, including 85 and 91 last week and a pair of wins. Just look at the scoring column. Jamal King leads the NEC scoring in league play, over 23 points a game. Who's second? Keith Braxton, 3-time player of the week, 22 points a game, and Andre Wolford throwing in 15. They're hard to stop. They get up and down the court, and they shoot well from 3-point range. My Mount takeaway, good luck trying to beat this team at Knott Arena. They've outscored their opponents by over 20 points in 2 Knott Arena games already. What a great atmosphere, the mayhem. Last week, the Mount shot a season-high 56% in a win over Bryant, hit 50% 2 days later against Central Connecticut. Just look at the numbers, averaging 18 points a game more at home than they have on the road this season. Knott Arena, always a difficult task for opposing teams, both in and out of the NEC.
All right, Ron, well, continuing with the weekend takeaways, give me your game of the week from last week.
That's an easy one, Kyle, because last week we saw one of the best finishes in recent memory. Robert Morris against St. Francis Brooklyn, at the time 2-0 teams meeting up in Pittsburgh. This is how it all went down. Terriers down 6 with 4 seconds to play. In steps Glenn Sanabria, hits a 3 with 0.8 seconds left on the clock. Timeout. Robert Morris turns it over on their ensuing possession, giving the Terriers the ball back with 0.6 seconds remaining. Glenn Breaker diagrams it, and there you have it. The bullet pass into Sanabria again, who curls and fires from 30 feet. Splash. We're going to overtime. That is the shot of the week in the NEC. From there, St. Francis takes the early lead in the OT. The Colonials climb back. They have a 1-point lead. And from that point, the two teams produced one of the most memorable sequences you will see. They traded 6 consecutive baskets without a whistle, without a timeout, over the next 1 minute and 22 seconds. And it all culminated with Matty McConnell's game-winning 3-point play with 10 seconds left on the clock. Rasheem Dunn had one last chance as time expired, but his 3-pointer was just off the mark, and the Colonials secured themselves a heart-pounding 80-79 overtime win.
Ron, it was definitely an exciting finish between those two teams down at the Palumbo Center. Continuing with the theme of last week, give me your top plays from the week.
2 plays that stood out to me, Kyle. First, down at the Mount, Central Connecticut's Talik Williams. We've seen him do this before. From Eric Bowles, the perfect feed on the alley-oop, and Williams flushes it with his left hand. One of the best dunks I've seen this year in the NEC. But to me, the play of the week took place at PPG Paints Arena on Saturday. Robert Morris against LIU. There was a bit of a scramble. The ball finds its way to Leandre Washington, who puts it between his legs to Kobe Thomas for the jam.
Okay, Ron, before we transition from talking about last week to this week, let's take our Twitter timeout. What do you got for me on social media out there?
My favorite tweet this week concerning NEC men's hoops was from Mount Athletics, and it was about their star, Junior Robinson. It read, typical Junior Robinson day, 25 points, 9 assists, and a bunch of post-game autographs. As someone who has been around the Mount and watched this phenomena after each game, I saw it at the NCAA tournament last year. He could run for mayor in Emmitsburg. Junior Robinson, the kids love him. He's a great player. He's so exciting to watch. And it's great to see this sort of fan interaction at our schools.
Okay, Ron, timeout's over. Let's shift the focus to this week. Who's on your Star Watch?
Star Watch this week, Bryant sophomore guard Adam Grant. If you remember last year, he made himself a bit of a household name in the NEC when he hit 9 3-pointers in what was the game of the year last year, a 112 to 110 double overtime game versus Sacred Heart. Those 9 threes were the most by a freshman in NEC history. And if you remember, he hit 1, 2, 3 of them late in the game to send it to OT. Let's fast forward to this past Thursday when the all-rookie honoree was back to his old tricks. He again hit 9 triples against the Mount, finished with 29 points. The 9 threes, the most in an NEC game this season. In fact, Grant is only the 3rd player in league history to 2 times hit at least 9 3-pointers in a game against an NEC opponent. Great job, Adam Grant, and he's definitely a star last week for the Bulldogs.
From Star Watch to Under the Radar, Ron, give us your choice for who people should be looking out for this week.
Wagner's 3-1 in NEC play, and it's the defense that's been their calling card. Who has been the key to that success? I say it's A.J. Sumbry, a 6'8 forward from East Windsor, New Jersey. Sumbry leads the NEC with 2.3 blocks per game on the year and has been even more of an intimidating presence in league play, where he's averaging nearly 4 blocks a game. He rejected 4 shots last week in wins over Sacred Heart and FDU, and he's also contributing in other ways. Last week, he put up over 10 points and almost 10 rebounds a game for the green and white. With Sumbry, a deterrent in the paint, Wagner leads the NEC in scoring defense, field goal percentage defense, and blocks, both overall and in conference play.
Okay, Ron, we looked at 2 key players to watch out for this week. Now let's move on to NEC milestones. What do you have for me?
2 this week, Kyle. Both senior guards who have been 2-time All-NEC honorees, and they're both preseason All-NEC selections. Mount St. Mary's senior guard Junior Robinson and FDU's Darian Anderson both reached 1,500 career points in their team's respective wins last Thursday. Congrats to both Junior and Darian, 2 of the best you'll see in the Northeast Conference this season.
Congratulations to both those guys. Now, Ron, give me your game to watch.
I can't wait for this one, Kyle. Thursday night on ESPN3 and NEC Front Row in our NEC TV package opener, we have the Keystone State Clash. St. Francis U at Robert Morris at PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh. Just look at the numbers. Robert Morris unbeaten at 4-0. Preseason favorite, St. Francis, 3-1. They've won 3 straight, so you have 2 red-hot teams. The all-time series, the Flash have won 4 in a row and 5 of 6, but prior to that, Robert Morris had won 14 straight, dating back to the 2007-08 season. So it's been a series of streaks. We'll see if Robert Morris can turn it around. What we'll also see is some points, I think. St. Francis, as we noted earlier, averaging a league-leading 82.5 points a game against NEC opponents. Robert Morris, right there, in 3rd place with almost 77 points a game. They averaged 84 a game in their 2 wins last week. This should be a good one. Looking forward to it.
The Keystone State Clash, always a good game. That'll be on ESPN3 and NEC Front Row. And fans, don't forget, all league games on Thursday and Saturday can be viewed live on NECFrontRow.com. That's it for this week's edition of the NEC On The Run podcast, talking men's basketball with Ron Ratner. For NEC Front Row, I'm Kyle Turner, and we'll be back next week.